Bigme is skyrocketing, constantly updating its e-ink tablets and doing absolute wonders in this sector. This time it's a new version of the Bigme P7, which is a kind of mini tablet that brings together all the versions of the Amazon Kindle throughout history and merges them into a single device. With a considerably reasonable price, in fact, it's even cheaper than the Kindle itself. And all of that, even though this Bigme P7 from 2026 comes with a speaker, microphone, touch navigation bar, official case, and stylus all in one package. But let's dive into this small multi-purpose color e-ink tablet with a price for everyone. And have you seen the official case yet? And now take a look at this stylus. It's made of a kind of satin plastic, plus it charges via USB Type-C and includes an eraser. At this point, the Kindle Scribe also offers this feature, but you have to pay extra for the stylus with an eraser. Well, this Bigme, costing less than a quarter of that Scribe, includes the stylus with an eraser. It comes with warranties, papers, and so on, and also a replacement tip, tweezers to remove the tips, and the little pin for the micro SD card. And now, here it is, the new Bigme P7, a sort of Frankenstein that has taken the best of all the Kindles and combined it into this mini color e-ink tablet. The design is very similar to other versions of Bigme. However, it adds this kind of strip with touch controls. I think that's the main difference. In addition to these physical buttons, which at this point remind me a bit of the now discontinued Kindle Oasis. Not only can you turn pages with them, but they can also be customized. The back is made of plastic, even though it looks like leather, and those stripes on the back look good visually, but they don't provide any extra grip. The back is also slightly rounded, which gives it some ergonomics. And now let's move on to the USB Type-C ports, and red, green, blue LED, and a speaker. Can you see everything here? By the way, the frame is made of plastic, which I guess was a way to save costs. Here is the power button. It wobbles a bit, but the travel is good. On the other side, there's nothing, and here you have a microphone and also a SIM card tray. For a micro SD of up to 1 terabyte of capacity, inside it houses 64 gigabytes of internal memory. They've probably saved the most on materials since everything feels cheap. The price is shown at the end of the video, but I understand that this also makes it very light. We're talking about more or less 220 grams. There are smartphones that weigh more than this tablet. And now let's get to this Bigme B7 2026. I've been testing it for a few weeks and I can already tell you that it's probably the mini color e-ink tablet that gives you the most for your money. And this is how it looks in its case. Can you see it? I would have liked it to be a magnetic case, but I guess you can't ask for more at this price. And here is this 7-inch tablet with Kaleido 150 pixels per inch in color and 300 pixels per inch in black and white. You can turn on some LEDs, but when you turn off the LEDs, here is one of its drawbacks. And it's not just with this tablet, but with all color e-ink tablets. The screen looks quite grayish, especially when compared to other black and white screens, for example, with Carta 3 technology. And let's move on to the second drawback, which is its battery. It's 3050 mAh, and especially if you use it with dynamic content like social media and maybe some videos, though small, this will use a lot of battery. If you only read in airplane mode, it can last over a week. Otherwise, expect about 3 days at most. And this is also one of the problems with color e-ink screens. They use more battery than black and white e-ink screens. But anyway, let's get to what I did like about this Bigme V7 from 2026. And as you can see, this programmable navigation bar actually reminds me of the first version of the Kindle, which had some pretty interesting physical buttons. Now they've modernized it, improved it, and they've also made it touch sensitive. Through a study conducted by Bigme itself, they've looked at which settings were used the most and added shortcuts for them, here, all along this side. And honestly, it's much more useful this way. Otherwise, there would just be a strip of plastic like before for the rest of the screen controls. Do you already know how it works? Comics and magazines will look better, but load slower. Videos play faster, but at lower quality. I've reviewed nearly all Bigme's tablets and competitors too. Are they all on the channel? And I have to say that it's getting better and better each time. This thing about the speed of dynamic content, which I think was the big flaw, it looks like a kind of color newspaper like in Harry Potter. And the thing is, electronic ink technology is something I really like. I always emphasize that in my videos. It's not like anything related to any other type of backlit screen technology, like, for example, organic light-emitting diode, or LED. Something else I really like is how it handles reflections. As you can see, for example, compared to a smartphone with a conventional screen, it disperses reflections much better. Clearly, this technology must have some benefits. Those of you who follow me on my channel already know why I like this technology so much, and it's because I use it every day on a personal level. It helps me a lot. For example, it helps me concentrate better without getting headaches, without any kind of eye strain, and then even at night I can sleep better. All of this is thanks to the technology in these devices themselves, as you can see, which has its pros and cons. The downside at this point is that it's slow, but as you can see, it's getting better and better. By the way, I like the software feature that lets you lock it with a double tap. Are you noticing how everyday apps like Instagram are performing? It's not, I insist, the fastest in the world, but it's much better for your eyes and for reading for longer periods than a conventional tablet. And take a look at this point. How does it handle games? As you already know, any dynamic content needs to be set to video mode, so it runs as smoothly as possible. Well, its internal chip is an octa-core. It has stock Android 14 Bluetooth 5.04 gigabytes of RAM and 64 gigabytes of internal storage. Obviously, given its technology, it's not the best device for running these kinds of games. But I'm going to take this opportunity to show you how its single speaker sounds, which in my opinion, I'll tell you in advance, is quite loud, but the quality is rather mediocre. But obviously, if you buy this affordable Bigme P7 2026 Color e-ink tablet, it's not really for gaming, but mainly for reading and writing. Let's get to the main point, which I think is most important. You can download any app, including Kindle, and you can have Kindle in color, meaning the same software that the Kindle Color Soft has, on a device that also costs quite a bit less and comes with stock Android. But, well, it also has its own app, and honestly, I like the typography better, for example. Personally, I think they're doing a great job with updates. I think everything looks and feels better, and you can already see how fast it is when turning pages. And the software on this Bigme can be set to dark mode, but as you can see, if you enable it from the Bigme reading app itself, there's a white bar at the bottom. To prevent this from happening, you have to click here on color inversion, and the white bar disappears. This is actually how I usually read at night with this trick I just shared with you. It switches to dark mode, not just for reading, but for the entire interface too. Of course, you have to keep in mind that it's really a color inversion, but it works very well with this ink technology. I have to say, I also like this when I'm writing. The stylus is included, so you don't need to buy it separately, and there are many color options. We're still in the reading app, but there's also a very complete notes app with lots of templates and many more colors. It has 16 selectable colors, and you can also use a brush, pen, highlighters, etc. However, out of all the devices I've tried from Bigme, this isn't the best one for writing. If that's what you like the most, here you have the review of other models that I recommend more for this purpose, although it's nice that they include this stylus at this price. But now let's see how the lights perform at night. On the left, the affordable Bigme V7 from 2026, and on the right, the 7-inch Bucks competitor. The cold light is better on the Bigme, and the warm light is slightly better on the Bucks. But you already know what I always say, the most important thing here is who can go lower, who can make the minimum brightness, and at this point you can already see it. The Bucks is slightly better than the Bigme V7 from 2026. And now, let's get to the point that I think is what I liked most about this device. Some of you might already be guessing, and it's about the price. As you can see, 214.95 euros. Quite a bit cheaper than the Kindle Color Soft, for example, but with all the features of every Kindle that's ever existed. By the way, I'll leave the purchase link below in the video description. In conclusion, I think that if you like this kind of device and don't want to burn a hole in your wallet, This Bigme V7 from 2026 is a pretty affordable option you should consider, not just because of everything it offers. In addition to including a speaker, a microphone, micro SD, a stylus, and an official case, which Kindle doesn't have nowadays, or at least it doesn't include all of that in the package without having to buy them separately. Without a doubt, Bigme keeps updating its products, both in hardware and software. And it's something I really appreciate, that there are companies that care about this kind of technology, which I personally like a lot and has helped me so much. And now, go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already, and leave me a like so I can keep mixing the most beautiful nature with the most innovative technology here on your channel Test-A-Do. And now, I'll see you in the next video. Take care and see you soon.